Hi guys, welcome to my second vlog, Skills versus Capacities in Speed and Agility. I will be looking at acceleration and the lateral shuffle movement. Throughout the video, I will analyse each movement to determine if the issue is indeed due to skill or capacity limitations, and where appropriate, I will provide coaching cues and corrective exercises to fix the issues as they arise. Here we can see athlete 1 perform an 8-metre sprint. The athlete starts in a 3-point stance. This allows him to stay low and perform a forward lean during the acceleration. From initial toe off, the athlete doesn't quite achieve full triple extension and is adopting a visible kyphotic posture to maintain forward lean. When we slow the movement down and use still images, we can see that his front foot is ahead of his centre of mass with each step. In acceleration, the smaller touchdown difference the athlete displays in relation to the distance between his centre of mass and the 5th metatarsal, the more effective the acceleration phase will be in reducing horizontal braking forces and also reducing contact time. Small touchdown distance was noticeable with his first step, however the distance between the athlete's centre of mass and his front foot started to increase with each step. It is obvious that the athlete is trying to stay low for as long as possible and is keeping his head down with an aggressive arm drive. However, because the athlete is not creating enough horizontal force, the body starts to lift upright after the first couple of steps. So from here, I got the athlete to perform an A march with a dowel across his shoulders. It is obvious to see that the athlete displays a good range of motion and hip flexion. However, the athlete does display a lack of trunk stability and pelvo-lumbic control when performing the A march. During competition, this athlete also received a dead leg, which resulted in a quad recoil injury, which is visible when the hip is in flexion in the A march. A leg extension test resulted in inconsiderable differences between left and right sides. Therefore, exercise such as reverse Nordics, sissy squat variations, single leg squats will help in this regard. Even though the athlete does have some obvious skill deficiencies, such as his foot position at the start of the sprint, his arm drive and his lack of ankle dorsiflexion, I feel his limitations are mainly capacity related, as his injury to his right quad results in a compromised push-off and reduces the amount of horizontal force that he produces. And his inability to achieve a full, strong forward lean results in the adoption of a kyphotic postural strategy, and therefore he stands up too quickly. It also affects his rate of force development, and as the limb tries to find a way to stay on the ground for as long as possible to find the necessary force to take the next step. This leads to the issue with touchdown distance and braking forces that I discussed earlier. In addition, the lack of trunk and core stability results in energy leak and inefficient mechanics. Exercises such as wall drive isometric drills will help the athlete create the posture and trunk stability required to hold a more effective acceleration position. Additional exercises such as peel-off press variations and offset loaded carries will also help in this regard. Drills that will help the athlete to paw back will create a more favourable touchdown distance through generating the necessary horizontal force required. Therefore, exercises like heavy sled pushes, resisted band marching and resisted sled sprints will help this position. Here we can see athlete 2 performing an acceleration. From the outset, we can see he is very upright in his posture and he performs a fall step from his staggered stance position. The fall step is an acceptable mechanic in many cases, however, it is an inefficient strategy from a starting staggered stance position. Still images highlight the upright posture adopted by the athlete from the outset and his lack of ankle dorsiflexion at ground contact. Dorsiflexion is a fantastic mechanic as it assists in the functional use of the calf and Achilles complex, which helps pre-tension at ground contact. Acknowledging the importance of this athlete's movement history, this fall step is an old motor pattern and a skill issue. To encourage the athlete to drive off his lead leg in acceleration, I have asked him to place his weight on his toes and his back leg. This will prevent him from stepping back and encourage him to drive off his lead leg during the acceleration phase. During his initial acceleration, the athlete also displayed excessive backside mechanics and a lack of high knee drive. Exercises such as wall drives will help create the posture, the piston-like knee action, and a good dorsiflexion position required for acceleration. Additionally, using banded variations are also a good pre-activation potentiation strategy for this athlete before practice. Other exercises, such as heavy sled marches and falling starts, will help reinforce good acceleration posture. Additionally, the banded puppet march will also force the athlete to maintain active thoracic extension, as well as engaging the anterior core and the trunk, while he performs a good high knee drive with that piston action, dorsiflexion, and falling leaning position. So moving on to our agility drill, initially the athlete is doing a reasonably good job at controlling his centre of mass as he displays limited shoulder sway and his foot plants wide as he controls the forces generated from the ground. However, it becomes apparent that when changing direction from left to right, the athlete displays a significant knee valgus of the trail leg, and this could increase his chance of injury. Still images show that his base of support is very wide, with his trail leg being significantly outside of his centre of mass. As the athlete moves across the room, we can see that on deceleration, there is a slight weight shift towards the outside leg. This could be due to a lack of eccentric strength in the right leg. However, the trail leg is in a far better position and we don't see the knee valgus that we saw on the other side. This athlete's right leg seems to be the common denominator, and his inability to decelerate his centre of mass, as I've stated already, could be a lack of eccentric strength, while knee valgus is commonly produced by a weakness in the hips. To highlight this capacity issue, a single leg squat test was performed. On his right side, the knee drops inwards during the beginning of the concentric phase, indicating poor glute strength. The extent can be seen on the still images. He displays far better eccentric and concentric control when performing the single leg squat test on his left leg. With these capacity issues in mind, corrective exercises such as the half-kneeling banded external rotation, hip hitches, glute med wall slides and band shuffles will help build the glute and hip strength to correct the capacity issues that I've highlighted. Here we can see athlete 2 performing the lateral shuffle. We can see that the athlete's turn is quite slow and that there is a significant shift towards the outside leg as his centre of mass loops up rather than bouncing out of the change of direction. We can also see that his base of support is very wide, which helps him in deceleration. However, it hinders his ability to accelerate in the opposite direction as he has to overcome the forces produced by the outside leg. We can also see that his trail leg shows quite a significant knee valgus, which we have to investigate further. The opposite side shares many commonalities with the previous one, with a weight shift towards the outside leg, a very wide base of support and a very slow turn. It's also worth noting that the athlete remains in a very high postural position throughout the shuffle, which may have an effect on the athlete's ability to find good deceleration and acceleration angles when changing direction. His inability to decelerate his centre of mass on both sides could be due to poor eccentric strength. A single leg squat test showed that he has adequate concentric and eccentric strength on both sides and provides evidence that this is a skill-related issue. With the knowledge that the athlete's limiting factors are indeed skill-based, movements such as ice skaters will teach the athlete to pull the trail leg under his centre of mass and cue the body lean position required for optimizing quick transitions from deceleration to acceleration, and this will enhance his change of direction performance. Adding the challenge of moving forward while doing the ice skaters will again challenge the coordination ability of the athlete. Additionally, the use of the low box will help the athlete with repositioning good deceleration and acceleration angles. I will give the cue to the athlete to stay low in the tunnel and to avoid the tall posture and the up and down bobbing action that is not conducive to good change of direction.